So guys, yesterday, this headline trended saying terror suspects, alleged financiers, were linked to powerful Nigerians, including former Attorney General Malami, former Army Chief, and others. This is coming from Major General Ali Kefe, retired general. This man under the Buhari's government was given the task of, investigating to dig out those sponsoring terrorism in Nigeria. And guess what? He did an excellent job. Came up with a list, discovered so many things that were hidden, that were secret. He discovered a lot. Guess what? Some of these same northerners became angry. As a major general, they jailed him. They put him in detention. He stayed there for about 64 days. When it was time for them to release him, guess what? They handed him his retirement letter. He should be fired for exposing those sponsoring terrorism in Nigeria. So yesterday again, this news resurfaced. He has been granting interviews on Arise TV. I'm going to be sharing one of his interviews. But look at what is even baffling many Nigerians today. Since the Tinubu's government has refused to release the names of terror financiers in Nigeria, Sahara Reporters has gone ahead to uncover 23 suspects. Like this headline here says, exclusive, Sahara Reporters uncovers 23 suspected terror financiers with billions in suspicious transactions. So guys, if Sahara Reporters can get this kind of information, tell me what is preventing Tinubu. Tinubu is just after second term. He's just after second term, and possibly he's afraid for his life, because you can see that an army general did investigation, came up with, exposing those sponsoring terror in Nigeria, and guess what? They fired him. They retired him by force. Before then, they kept him in detention for 64 days. So guys, there are really powers that own this country, that don't want Nigeria to survive. The one sponsoring this terrorism under Buhari allowed all these things to happen. Majority of these things happen from like 2015 and 2020 thereabout. And look at where Nigeria is today. So guys, I'm just going to allow you to take a look at this interview where this man, he has been revealing, and he just keeps revealing what is happening. But you see, these 23 lists, they are northerners, mostly from Kanu State. They say they are businessmen. Some of them are in bureau de change. Some of them are forex traders. Some of them are just business people. They transacted billions to these terror people, to help them buy weapons, to help them get enough resources, in fighting this terror. They just want Nigeria to fall as an Islamic state. That's just the target. But now they are being exposed. So guys, we cannot but wait to see that justice is being served in all this. Anyway, guys, let me allow you to take a look at this interview and let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell notification. Now take a look.
Of course, all sorts of kidnappings are taking place in Nigeria, and they can each be different. But when you look at this latest incident, let's start with Kebbi State. What do you make of it?
Well, little surprise. You recall I've been on your show since January last year. 2 years now going, and we've been warning about this. And part of the things we've said, and I'll still repeat it again, is that we have insufficient troops. And I kept on calling for surge. Let's replicate, let's borrow a leaf from what Sri Lanka and other countries have done. And now, but I think we have a government that is tone deaf. I mean, this is
a succession of governments, because it's not just this government.
Yeah, well,
I mean, the previous ones were not doing much either.
Yeah, right, yes, that is a fact. But what did this government say when it came on board? It said it was going to hit the ground running. Apparently not. And I recall in March, April last year, when I was calling one of your sister shows, I mentioned that the body language of the president is not right. Look at his cabinet picks, the security sector, Ministry of Defense, the police, and other security disciplines. I mean, those are not the right guys for the job. Recently, we had a change of service chiefs. I mean, that won't change anything.
You think it's a cosmetic change, basically?
Yeah, well, they are not addressing the real issues. Now, I mean, the military, for instance, now, the military is a team. I mean, they operate as a team, not as individual. You can change the whole individual. You can bring Field Marshal Erwin Rommel, the famed German general, or Patton, or this thing, and they can't achieve this thing because the political will is not there. The military and the other security agencies are insufficient, the troop number. I kept on calling for surge. I mean, look at the unfortunate thing that happened in Kebbi. I mean, there were no troops there. And you can't expect the troops to be everywhere. That's the fact. But again, they are insufficient. Recently, 2 days or yesterday, I heard the members of the National Assembly, I don't know which of the chambers, called for increase of about 100,000 troops.
Yeah, it was the Senate.
Yes, the Senate, something like that, right? I mean, this is coming too late. I mean, we've been saying it, if you recall.
I do recall you saying that,
kept
yes.
on saying for the such. Now it's a little bit, sorry to say, a little bit too late. I mean, because now, is it with the prompting, because of the threat President Trump of the United States made, that there seems to be some semblance of movement? I mean, that is this thing. Because the Nigerians are fed up, are frustrated. The country is a killing field. Now, let us not deceive ourselves. I mean, President Trump saying that genocide, Christianism. Of course, I wouldn't characterize it as genocide against the Christians, because Muslims too are also killed. Peoples of other faiths are killed. Listen, depending on the community. But the truth is that there are mass killings. I grew up in Makurdi, Benue State, right? A lot of the areas I knew in that area, right, they are now empty of people. My friends, their families killed. Same thing, Plateau. I was a general officer commanding the 1st Mechanized Division, Kaduna, which also, that's the headquarters, the main headquarters in Kaduna, but Niger State, Kanu, and Zamfara, and part of Yobe State. From the division. Now, we saw all these things. The number was inadequate. Troops number inadequate. Now, what commanders have to do is kind of like you do in farming, shifting cultivation, keep on moving them from one place to the other to make effects. But you cannot achieve this thing.
It's not sustainable.
It's not sustainable. And again, when you are fighting counterterrorism warfare of this, when you're fighting terrorism, you need to suppress, you need to saturate the ground with troop strength. But that is not happening.
And just, I mean, very interesting assessment you've given there. Just in terms of what's happened in Kebbi State, because, I mean, that has happened, and we've got to deal with it. In terms of the dots that you're able to connect around that incident, who do you think might be behind it? Bandits seeking ransom, or ideological insurgents capturing and absorbing women into their ranks, like we saw them do with the Chibok girls?
No, I don't think the second part of it, that is try to absorb to their ranks. No, that may not be in the case of that Kebbi. It's for ransom, obviously.
Yeah, but you would have thought that by now you would have heard from them. I mean, although we may not know if they've made contact, but I mean, you would have thought that you'd hear from them and know what their demands are.
Yeah, that's a decent. But again, there's another point, another aspect I want to look at it. I mean, ever since President Trump made the threat of invading the country, so to speak, of course, as a military, with my military background, I don't think the invasion is going to be American boots on the ground, but maybe targeted attacks, just like what is happening in Somalia against the Al-Shabaab, missile strikes, this thing. But ever since that happened, have you noticed the frequency of attacks? Perhaps the bandits trying to dare America. Say, okay.
It's funny you say that. I was actually thinking about that earlier today.
Yeah.
They seem to have upped their ante, have they?
Yeah, I mean, because, look, if the United States should carry out, say, missile strike against this will play into the hands of those insurgents. This is what they want. They want to see the collapse of the Nigerian state. They want to humiliate the government. And the government, of course, seems not to care. And that's why they refuse to act. I mean, I keep on saying for the past 2 years, I have been calling on a lot of other Nigerians have been calling on the government to act. But this seems, it seems, I don't know, a lethargy, kind of hesitation. I don't know what.
And I mean, there was advice given to the government after the Chibok abductions that they should have a working group in place whose sole purpose is to sift through intelligence and respond to early warning signals of imminent abductions in schools, and to link a sort of powerful interagency security network to that group that can be called up at short notice. There was also the Safe School Initiative after Chibok, which aimed to deliver protection to schools. I mean, whatever happened to all that? And is this Kebbi incident evidence of a major lapse in that policy and in security coordination?
Well, the thing is, of what good is intelligence when you cannot influence any action on the ground, when you don't have the capability? I mean, look, in fairness to our intelligence agency, the Department of State Services, there's the DSS, the National Intelligence Agency, and the Defense Intelligence Agency. They are on top of their game. They give those intelligence. I had the privilege of having the DSS, when I commanded the Operation Service Wide, OSW, when we targeted those sponsors of terrorism and all these financiers and everything. They are very good. They give intelligence, and I'm sure there must have been intelligence given to this thing. They are very good at this thing. But of course, when you lack the capabilities, like I said, I mean, the troops' strength is quite inadequate. Now they give the intelligence they're going to attack a place. I mean, how do you stop it? What are no soldiers? I mean, in the Northeast, the same problem you have. The troops sometimes are aware, intelligence, that the Boko Haram guys are going to attack a location. But there's little they can do.
Yeah, but what I don't understand is, because what we're seeing now is the attack having taken place.
Yes.
Suddenly they've mobilized troops to that area. They're combing the area. The president has made an order. Reinforcements must be sent there and so on. If there are troops available for those reinforcements, why didn't they go there before the fact rather than after the fact?
I can assure you that those troops were taken from other locations. Right, so you do what we say in military terms, you thin out those locations. You pick, and take them.
Yeah,
to
but what I'm saying
area.
is that if that school is seen as a threat, I mean a threat of, abductions, then it means that given that they're sending the troops there now, they could have sent the troops there earlier.
But the troops that they picked to move to that place, right, were picked from areas that also threatened areas.
Right.
And now, so there's the risk that the insurgents could attack some of those areas. I mean, you never can.
You mean whilst they're combing the forests around the MAGA town?
Sometimes insurgents cannot attack in a place to lure troops out of this thing, right? So when you go on pursuit, trying to this thing, you expose your flank and they attack that distance. So we never can tell.
Yes, we've actually seen that happen in some of the military sort of camps and so on there, where because they've been sent somewhere, those places are loosely guarded and they go and attack them. But I mean, how much do you think these sorts of security failures that appear to be happening frequently in this country, I mean, you've already mentioned that it's a reflection of poor leadership, lack of political will, but there also seems to be a gap in the security architecture that allows these sorts of incidents to happen in that sort of leadership structure within the security services?
Look, I've said this several times in the past. Look, fatigue is setting, right? This is now the military since the Liberian crisis, since from 1990, 91. The military has been involved in this. There is fatigue. Now, secondly, again, right, it has had a negative effect on morale.
Right.
Some troops, some soldiers have been away from their families for upward of 5 years. I served in Liberia 5 years in the stretch virtually. It was when I was injured, wounded, during the assassination attempt on Chastello. I was his ADC, I was shot. Everyone with me was killed.
Were you there in that
assassination?
ECOMOG headquarters when he
No, not the headquarters. At the executive mansion.
Okay, that's a different thing. That's the assassination attempt
on Chastello, which happened. I think it was like 1st of October 1996. He and I survived, and I was shot 2 places. Everyone with me was killed. Now, this, I mean, look, for a very long time, troops have been listening. It was only when I came, when I, convalescing, recovery after the surgery, It was when then after that, I went back to Liberia. Of course, President Chastolo, when he won the election, requested General Abacha to have me sent back, and I went back. So I said 5 years, and you have troops, soldiers.
You burn out, basically.
Yeah.
You burn out.
Listen, I mean, I can tell you, I commanded a brigade in the northeast, close to where this incident happened in Konduga. The brigade was based in Goza before they were dislodged, and then I was now appointed, and then I moved the dislodged troops, those moved them from Maiduguri to Konduga, and from there for further offensive. And it was in one of the offensive that I injured myself. I lost hearing in my left ear, had RPG attack. So now some of the soldiers that I commanded there are still there. Perhaps they came back 1 or 2 years, returned back there. I mean, look at the case of, there was a brigadier general, then he was killed as Colonel Bako in Damboa a few years ago, about 4 or 5 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. He was killed there in Damboa. I mean, that general, he was promoted posthumously. That general served repeatedly in that theater. Now, it was not a punishment, but because there were no officers to send. So this thing is having a lot of effect. Family lives are being destroyed. I mean, so the soldiers are also victim of the failures
I think
of the state.
That's a very important point you make about morale and the fact that people are essentially burning out. But is there also a sense that there are rivalries between the security agencies to the extent that those rivalries might harm the safety of Nigerians in this way?
I don't think that is, of course, you may have inter-service rivalry. I mean, it's healthy in some, when you try to outdo each other, but where it's detrimental, when it becomes detrimental, that is where the problem is. But in a competitive environment, of course, you should have that kind of thing. But I don't think that is the problem. The problem is, the problems are many. Part of it is that, look, say the President Commander-in-Chief, Ahmed Bola Tinubu, has just made appointment. He gives the service chiefs blank check. Do as you like. I mean, no consequence. I mean, you don't do things like that in the same environment. You give them a timeline. Look, guys, I give you 3 months. Sort out the mess in north-central Nigeria, Benue and Plateau State. If they don't do that, you kick them out and get someone to listen. And now, if you give them that kind of deadline, now they'll be up and doing. But you just give them a blank check. Do as you like. No consequence.
Is there a sense that the leadership in this country doesn't display much concern? Because I mean, you're a military man. You know what's going on in the military. We don't often, ordinary people don't often know exactly, which is why it's very good to have somebody like you here enlightening us. But is there a sense that the leadership, the civilian leadership, doesn't display much concern for the citizens in this country who are being abducted and murdered in their thousands? Because in many countries, you and I were talking about this before we came on air, even if one person is abducted, the country comes to a standstill and everyone is on alert until that person is rescued. But not in Nigeria. The circus of government carries on regardless. I mean, they're going all around the place talking about absorbing people into the APC from, defectors and all the rest of it, as if the people who are being killed and carted away, abducted, are just animals. I mean, and there never appears to be any resolute countermeasures taken.
Well, I think you said it all precisely. I mean, they don't seem to care. I mean, and that is why even as a Nigerian, of course, one will not support the Trump threat being actualized. I mean, that will hurt our sovereignty, so to speak. I mean, but you see, it is now gingering some sort of action, because now the politicians are feeling threatened that perhaps there will be sanction on them. I mean, they will not be able to travel. They will not be able to, the money they've stolen and kept in stash in various banks may be lost to this, and that is why they're being forced to action. Because our politicians and the leadership, not just the politicians, don't just bloody care.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think most Nigerians would agree with you. We're running out of time. We are where we are. I mean, you've talked about increasing troop numbers. They should have done it all along. They haven't done it. Beyond the criticism of how the government and the security forces are responding, what should they be doing right now in the current circumstances and given the limitations that you're talking about in terms of troop numbers, fatigue, morale, and all the rest of it? Should they be increasing operations, or should they be negotiating with whoever has abducted these students? What do you think should be happening?
Negotiation is out of the question. No dialogue with criminals. Whatever this. Now, look at Israel. I don't support the genocide they carried out against the Palestinians, but as a military man, I understand some of the military actions they took. Now, for instance, look, northwest Nigeria, northeast Nigeria, you have Sambisa forest, you have Alagarno forest, you have this. Why the hell are these forests still this? Burn out those forests. These are hideouts for them. Look, there will be shouts, you know, kind of environmental degradation, human rights, this, that is this thing. What has happened to Israel? Israel has done what it did, you know, flooding the tunnels with seawater, now attempting to flood the tunnels with concrete, this thing. Go ahead and burn out the forest. We may need to relocate people out of, say like Damboa, where you've killed 2 generals now. You know, now this is because of the presence of the Alagarno forest, because of the Sambisa forest and other forests in this, that you have this. So burn out this forest, take them out. The Americans did it in Vietnam. You know, they use the napalm gas. They use all sorts of this. Right, do it. Now there will be shouts. Who gives a damn if you win?
I mean, in some ways, that's what happened in Sri Lanka, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
I mean, they just took out everything, basically.
They damned the consequence. There were a lot of shouts. But today, the United Country. Now, when there is no Nigeria tomorrow, look at Somalia, look at Sudan, right? Look.
So it's better to take action now than risk turning into a failed state.
Absolutely.
But beyond these particular incidents that are taking place in the northeast and northwest and so on, I mean, if you were able to get on top of that, that will obviously reduce the problem. But that's by no means the end of the problem, is it?
Right. I think now you need to
in terms of the overall picture of security in this country.
Things are degenerating. Things are deteriorating every day. I mean, we can't fold our hands and do nothing. Recall my chat with you some couple of months ago, I think in June or thereabout, where I said, look, the problem in the southeast Nigeria is more political rather than military. For goodness sake, I don't support people calling for a breakup of the country. I don't support this so-called separatist movement. But for goodness sake, now you have a problem at hand. Why don't you address the IPOB problem? Why don't you release Nnamdi Kanu, for goodness sake?
And solve the political problem.
Yes.
And free the troops to go somewhere
and use
else.
them where they are distant. For goodness sake, why play this? You've given, what is it called, amnesty to people who killed, I was a commanding officer in the south. They kill a lot of this, right? You give them amnesty. One of them today, or 2 of them are here getting large, big contract from government.
Indeed.
You are giving amnesty, or you are speaking to bandit leaders. If these bandit leaders, 2 generals, for instance, you come and say, okay, he has renounced this thing. You listen, for goodness sake, let's call it spade a spade.
First of all, how would you assess the current kinetic threat to security in Nigeria, which has cost so much in terms of lives and property?
Thank you very much. No one can deny the fact that the country is at a crossroad. We are faced with multiple crisis situations. And as you introduced, you mentioned earlier on, for over a decade now, the country has been faced with all these things. And it came to the fore, or worsened, with the Arab Spring, so to speak, since from about 2011 onwards. Then we had, before the Boko Haram came up, we had situations all over the country, but not at the level that we're seeing today. But with the Boko Haram, something coming up 2011, 2012, and then reaching a height, the tempo, that's the peak, somehow in 2013, 2014. It became frightening. And it is only fair to say or to point out that our inability to address the Boko Haram issue is what has led to the insecurity bedeviling all over the country. And I say this because you may recall 2013, 2014. Now we had a similar situation that is occurring today. So it's like history is repeating itself. Locations after locations fallen to the insurgents, to the criminal groups. Then in 2014, late 2014, 2015, right, we started having a change in the tempo, and we started reclaiming some of this, and up to when mid-2015, when the Buhari administration came, his first term, and then the General Buratai was appointed the Chief of Army Staff, General Shekin the Chief of Defense Staff, Marshal Abubakar Sadiq the Chief of Air Staff, and Admiral Ibas then the Chief of Naval Staff. Now, for 2 years, between 2015 to 2017, we had tremendous progress. You saw when we reclaimed most of the territories back, that is, we took back from the Boko Haram, and a lot of credit goes to the entire team that is led by General Shekin. But of course, the architect of that counter-offensive, reclaiming of this should be given to General Buratai, and then it was almost like what one would call a textbook kind of military operations to reclaim this thing. However, from 2018, right, situation started changing. I say situation started changing. That was when we made a strategic mistake, and I say we. That is the entire high command, and it's not the feeling of one individual. And that was beginning with when we conducted what they call Operation Last Hold. If you recall, that was when they announced it was we were transiting from the active operation phase to the stabilization phase. And it held, I think, in Monguna at that time. President Buhari was there. There was a show. Now, but the key thing here was, for that operation to hold, they injected troops from outside the theater, troops who were not familiar with this thing, armed them, equipped them, and then to conduct that thing. But Boko Haram were
Nigerian troops.
Nigerian troops.
Right.
But Boko Haram were not sufficiently weakened at that time. But if you recall, also there was that something like technical defeat. I mean, that is alien to military. There's something called technical defeat.
Right.
When you
yes,
defeat,
I do
you defeat.
recall that.
Yes. When you defeat, you defeat. So, but anyway, that Operation Last Hold became a lifeline, because the equipment that the troops went in for that distance were virtually taken over by the Boko Harams, and that gave them a kind of lifeline. That was a good distance. So now we had that situation now, reversing some of the gains that were made. Then towards mid-2020 to mid-2020, there was an operation that was conducted, a kind of investigation, if I may say, investigation.
So let me just be clear on that period. You were saying essentially that around that 2018, 2019 period, people were put into the theater of war who did not have the experience.
Yes, it wasn't...
and they basically ran away. Is that the point you're making? And left a lot of the equipment there.
See, this was what happened, right? We had the active troops in the various battalions, in the brigades, the task force brigade, tech sectors and all this, that were there conducting the operation. Then, to conduct that Operation Last Hold, which was supposed to culminate in the Nigerian Army Day celebration, what they call NASCEL. That was, I think, July 7th, July 6th, that is 2018. So they brought in troops from outside the theater, equipped them to conduct that. There was a show, military parade show, airborne display and all that, this thing. So those troops essentially who came in were like greenhorns. They were troops that were not in combat.
They had no experience of combat.
Some had experience, but they were not the troops of the operation, then Zaman Lafia.
Right.
No, Lafia Dole, then it was named Lafia Dole. So those troops came, they weren't hardened per se, and Boko Haram launched attacks and captured most of the equipment.
Right.
Now, that was the first strategic mistake we made. Secondly, was in light of that setback, now they activated what they call the super camp concept. Now they gave up territories for strength. Now territories that we captured earlier, hitherto 2015, 2016, 2017, right? They gave them up and then consolidated in terms of having troop security protection kind of distance. So a strong point, so to speak, and then gave up some. So this gave Boko Haram the second breather. They were, ability to roam about. And
they regained territory, basically.
Yeah, but we gave it up. They didn't recapture it from us. We gave up the territories. That is, pull back and then
consolidated in certain strongholds.
Absolutely.
Right.
Right. Now, and then gave them,
but that was a strategic decision, was it?
It was a strategic mistake. This was a mistake, like I said. And this one is not...
But wouldn't trying to hold those positions have spread your troops too thin?
Good.
And put them at risk?
Precisely. Right. It will have done that. But, you see, the thing is that... in defensive operation, because at that time we had already claimed virtually the vast, the entire territories that Boko Haram captured, except in the Tumbus, that is by the Lake Chad, the fringes of Lake Chad, where they captured this thing. Now, what we needed to do, right, was to consolidate and build up on that distance. Now, we have what they call principles of defense. When you cite a defensive location, say a body of troops, say a battalion, right? They are cited with certain considerations, what they call the principles. You have what they call depth, you have what they call all-round defense, you have mutual support, you have reserve and all this. And those are things that a battalion cannot just be dislodged easily, if you observe that. So those things were not done. Again, if I may go back to what I said earlier, when we carried out those reclamation of territories, that is the brilliant moves made by General Boratai at that time, that is mid-2015, started from mid-2015 onwards, right, up to 2017, they're about to reclaim this thing. Now, we carried out a surge, but a surge in the sense that the surge, if I just want to quickly make this point, that surge led to compounded the situation that we have today, in the sense that now we pulled out troops from locations all over the country and took them to the northeast.
Right.
And that was what, led to, all over the country, say, southeast, north central, because a location where you have a battalion, say a battalion is, you have anything between 520 to 720, depending on type of battalion you have. Now, you thin out the location, and you leave just about, say, 150, 200 at most. I mean, that is not a battalion unit in being. So that was what gave the gaps that those criminals saw and exploited.
And they took advantage of it.
And until today, except, I don't know, I was thrown out of the army 2021, so I don't know.
When you say you were thrown out, what do you mean?
I was compulsory retired.
Right.
There was an operation which I led, the operation service-wide, the counter-terrorism, to arrest those terrorism financiers, if you recall.
Right.
It was all over celebrated by even the former president, the former Attorney General, Minister of Defense. When they came out and said we arrested, we picked the terrorism financiers, sponsors, all that. I was the commander of that, and I reported straight to the district. And they were in detention, and that was when we even picked, as a matter of fact, the leader of Boko Haram. The leader of Boko Haram was not Shekau. Shekau,
Was
died.
a spokesman, more or less, at the time.
Yes, the poster boy, so to speak. But the real leader, we captured him. And incidentally, or ironically, he's not even a Nigerian, but he claimed he's been in Nigeria for some time, but he's not a Nigerian. So, anyway, we arrested those guys, and they were in detention. We were collaborating with so many countries, about 33 countries, a key Western country, the United Arab Emirates, and we got a lot of intelligence from them. We picked those people. Some were picked from the battlefield, from the front line. Some were even outside the country. We picked them, and they were in detention. And then waiting for them to be prosecuted. Then in September, October 2nd or thereabout, next thing I was invited, said for interview at the military police headquarters. And I went there on the 18th, and I was arrested myself and detained in a cell.
What for?
I don't know. I was 10 initially. When I reported there, the interrogators said when I was removed as a general officer commanding on the 8th of August 2021, I handed over on the 10th of August 2021, 2 days later, because the posting came via signal posting in the night. I became aware of it the following day. That was on the 9th. So on the 10th, I handed over and left, and continued with the Operation Service Wide, that one that I reported to the design. The Operation Service Wide was a multi-agency and military, organizations that were distant, and the DSS was there, the NFI was there, the NIA was there, the DIA was there, and other distant, and I was the head of that organization, and I reported straight to the president, and we picked those people, those top distant, including the leader of the Boko Haram, including 5 of the key guys of this thing. I was invited. And then when I got there, they said I was removed as a general officer commanding. That was, like I said, on the 10th of August. And I didn't report to the resource center, the Nigerian Army Resource Center, where I was posted. And what really happened was that when I was removed, I reported straight to the presidency, and I said, okay, this was what they said, do not report. That they were going to address it.
Right.
And this thing. So I didn't know it was set up. They kept on this thing. I tried to report, they refused to this thing. The former president is there. There are people there in the presidency.
Well, I have to say, that part of it sounds very complicated,
yes,
because we don't really know the background and everything, yes, to it. I mean, I'm sorry you had to go through that, but it just sounds like there are too many strands to the story. Absolutely. And we've got about less than 5 minutes left to end this chat. Yeah. Let me ask you very quickly, all these things you were describing to us earlier, about the mistakes that were made by the military. Is there any way to get an assessment of how much this all those things affected Nigeria's defensive capabilities? Do you agree with those who say that the military has been weakened considerably by the knock-on effect of all these things, as well as the ongoing security crisis?
Yes.
Because now they're stretched too thin.
There's no doubt that the military is stretched thin, 1. 2, again, you see, the military, the Nigerian military is a small military, the Nigerian army, if I'm being more specific, considering the vastness of this. Look at Egypt, for instance. Egypt has about 450,000 active personnel, and then they have the auxiliary and all this, and that up to 1.2 million.
Right.
We don't even have half of that. And Nigeria, look at the population of Nigeria, look at the population of Egypt.
Right. So you need many more troops.
We need many more.
Why aren't they hiring more troops?
I don't know. I've been on your show, not this prime time, not the news night, and I advocated for the surge. The surge requires that you recruit more people, and this, because that is what is. Look at what happened in Russia, the Kursk. Russia is a world power. No, a superpower. Nobody can doubt that. But they brought in the
but the argument that people are making,
North Koreans,
right? The argument is that because of the escalating security crisis and what a lot of people are seeing that's happening to the army.
Yeah.
And what people also hear from people like yourself who come out and say this is the way it is, that it's affected the willingness of young Nigerians to be recruited into the army. I mean, because the principal concern for most people is their own safety. I mean, especially when they feel they don't have enough protection and aren't being paid enough, and then they've got to go there to give up their lives. I mean, so you can see why people don't want to join the army. Or is the problem from the recruiters that they're not going out there to try and recruit people?
Well, I think this aspect can best be answered by the defense. Okay. But I just want to add here that the Nigerian army, the Nigerian military is one of the best who have the warrior spirit in us, our tribes. I mean, if they are well led, right, the Nigerian military.
So like all things in Nigeria, it's about leadership.
Absolutely.
Okay, because one very quick question, because we've literally got 1 minute left.
Yeah.
Do you think what do you think of this National Security Summit that the National Assembly is proposing?
Absolute waste of time.
Complete waste of time.
Waste of time. It's not going to solve it. It's not going to solve the problem in the distance. Right now, right, how does it raise morale? We have a situation where troops are literally abandoning location. Look at the gory pictures that come out of their colleagues being killed.
Yes,
I mean, that was listen. Now we need to retrain the military, right? We need to recruit more people to have a surge. We need to have strategy. And if I may suggest something to the government, right, we need to reduce this multiple crises that we have. Look at the IPOP issue. The Southeast, this is a political issue. It's not going to, no military solution will solve it. The problem with the south of the north central, Benue and these are distant. So look, if I may suggest to them, right, release nnamdi Kanu. Go into some distant. You did that with the amnesty program during Eradua time. We need to reduce so that we can focus on the problem in the northeast. We need to retrain the areas. We need to reduce the pressure on our military.
So guys, everything this man revealed in this video should be worrisome to anybody who feels Nigeria deserves to get it better. You can imagine how much the Tinubu's government spent. I mean, the Tinubu's government spent a lot. They even went to the USA to get some of these things in the name of fighting insecurity. When Trump didn't want to sell it to Nigeria, it was like, Trump doesn't want to sell it to them. But now they bought it, they refuse to use it. Instead, they will go to the southeast and be using some of these their weapons. You must have seen the mayhem going on in the southeast. Buhari's strength was only on the southeast. That natural hatred for Ndebo. They wanted to crush anybody that comes from the southeast. I don't know why this hatred is there. But look at where the real problem is coming from. Just see where Nigeria is getting it wrong. And nobody wants to talk. It's good this man is coming out to say the way it is for those who care to hear. Let them hear. Because Nigeria is not going to continue this way. This country deserves to get it better. Look at all that this country is blessed with. But what we are hearing about now is Boko Haram this, Boko Haram that. ISWAP this, ISWAP that. A very multi-talented country with all kinds of endowment on the citizens. But because of poor leaders, you have leaders that once they enter office, they want to retain power. Even if it means to the detriment of the country, they don't care. And that's why all these things are happening. Tinubu doesn't care. Tinubu said, like somebody said, they asked Tinubu, what do you have for the North? He said, I don't have anything. They will buy him. Can you imagine? Tinubu is afraid for his own life, but he wants to become president. Miloko. He just came out from nowhere and said he wants to become president, and you're afraid so that they don't buy you. It's really, really so sad that all these things are happening, honestly. We just hope that this country can get it better, because with this kind of leaders that we have today, they don't even care. You must have heard about the atrocities happening in Imo State. The atrocities happening in Imo State under the watch of Hope Uzodinma. It's the same thing. This is how it starts. This person here said, one cannot talk about the atrocities happening at Tiger Base without mentioning CPS Shaba, Adamu, Boyoko, aka Shaba, ADC to Governor Hope Uzodinma. ADC, hey. Even the commander of Tiger Base fears him. Contact. Can you see? His contact number is there. And this person added Nigerian police and said, shut it down. So guys, Imo youths have been boiling over their experience. Chairman of the Northern Governors Forum and Governor of Gombe State, Mohammed Inuwa Yaya, says the failure to understand the grievances that push armed bandits to take up weapons is one of the major factors worsening the insecurity. See, these are all Fulanis who were not originally Nigerians, but they came into Nigeria and they were given the opportunity to exist like every other Nigerian. See where they became angry. So if it's the Fulanis that had the natural resources in Niger Delta, I wonder what will be happening. The Bishop of Onitsha last night narrated how former Anambra State Governor Peter Obi handed over schools to them after they complained about poor educational performance in the state. Since then, education sector has continued to improve. Wow, this is amazing.
The society is
This is amazing. These are some of the things that we want to see. These are the things that Nigerians want to see when it comes to leadership in this country. But we have leaders at their own interests. For Northerners, they want everywhere. They can't hand over schools to the mission. They can't, so that everywhere will be Islamized. Herdsmen marginalization, key driver of insecurity, Governor Yaya. So for them, everybody should run away because herdsmen are being marginalized. Can you imagine that herdsmen are being marginalized? Oh my God, Jehovah, help us in this country. 80% of Nigerians are neglected, cut across all tribes and regions. Yet nobody is beheading innocent people. That is it. The Fulani have an Islamic ethnic cleansing agenda tied to jihad. Terrorists are the government and the terrorists are in the government and they always speak to defend their foot soldiers. I think this makes a lot of sense. You know, this makes a lot of sense. So this is like a football pitch. You have the moderate Muslim there. You have the moderate Islam there. Islam moderate. Then you have the radical. Then you have the Islamic terrorists. So the moderate are just behind, while the radical ones are in the middle. And the Islamic terrorists are the ones at the forefront. These are the people who bring Fulani from other countries in truckloads. We can't share a country with people whose mindset is on default to see Fulani crime across Nigeria as excusable. It's obvious that the northern elites are the ones sponsoring Islamic terrorists killing Christians all over. It is them. It's them. No southeastern leader will come out to defend nnamdi Kanu, let alone defending people that are buying people. Nonsense. Who will marginalize them? This is the mindset they all share, including Buhari as president, who thinks the same way. How much did Buhari give Metiala? This can't be real. What did I just read? 1 billion naira every month. Sound like a certain ransom to be paid to this extremist group to halt their attacks within the regional security agencies. They must have been prosecuted for their atrocities. The atrocity crime against Nigeria and executed for their countless lives they defended. Say no to terrorist sympathizer, marginalization for a private business. How do these people think? God, Tinubu, please divide this country at least to two first. Then these people are annoying. Governor Yaya, so this has been the trick all the way as your people transform into rustling cattle to kidnapping, terrorism, and finally to killing. Hence, all these years they never told Nigerians the reason the Fulanis embarking on hiring across the border. Fulanis to kill us. They hire them across the borders to kill them. I told you, northern governors and their so-called elites are the ones sponsoring terrorism. It's really sad to see a sitting governor coming out to make this kind of unfounded statement. Anyway, it's good Nigerians are reacting to him, but you can see why the terrorism is not going to end. The people in government are happy with it. They like it. But gradually, God is exposing them. They can no longer hold their peace. You can see the governor of Gombe State. All of them are Fulani people. You hardly see an Hausa man in power. I don't know how they were able to just take over and outrule the Hausas. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you.